My day starts with doing few chores at home. I have an ailing father, and as his only son, I have to make sure I have prepared lunch and breakfast for him. Here we mostly take githeri, a mixture of beans and maize, sometimes plain, sometimes we add some greens. When we have some extra cash, we buy some rice and take it with githeri. I am now in Form 4 and life has not been easy. I have seen boys leave school because of peer pressure, lack of fees, general laziness, or sometimes mental stress. For me, mental stress has had a toll on me. My father one day, I remember was around 10 p.m. I was studying and waiting for an exam the following day. By 12 a.m., his situation was bad. I screamed through the night calling on distant neighbors. Luckily, someone had in turn to help me. He was a bike rider in my village. I was at the end and father was in the middle. He was so weak and I could feel his pain through his breath. In the hospital after diagnostics, was referred to ICU. Remember the following day, I have exams. The nurses rushed him and I am left stranded. You could see me moving up and down in dots. My thoughts were the only sound I could hear. You could see me moving my hand up and down simply because I was rummaging through a pile of thoughts, trying to find the right one in my mind like a man in a hurry looking for a cloth in a messy wardrobe. By 3 a.m. I was told to leave. I couldn't. It was like leaving meant him leaving me. I felt like my presence here on earth was holding him right here on earth. But one nurse told me to leave and come the next day. But we are already in the next day. By 3:30, the weight of my thoughts had reduced. So I went home, walking a journey of 6 kilometers. The cold had become part of me. I slept when the door was opened. When I woke up, it was already 7:30 a.m. I hurriedly milked our only goat and ran at 7:50, reaching the school around 8:20 a.m. The teacher was already at the door and the exams had started. He looked at me from bottom up, then up bottom. It was Dara. He looked me direct through the eyes and told me I was intoxicated. I felt the rumbling of these painful thoughts in my mind. Slowly, they started beating my forehead. It became hot. I could feel the thoughts hitting my skull. I wanted to talk, but my tongue was heavy. When I looked, I could see the teacher talking and a burning anger in his eyes. I held my head and fell down. My mind suddenly went blank. I felt like there was this blanket in my back, heavy with frustration and sorrow. When I came back to senses, the teacher had gone to class, my books all scattered, and my words were stuttering. I would see everyone looking at me. The teacher was almost certain I was intoxicated. I really needed help, but no one was bothering. I ran through the assembly ground, screaming. I don't know why. The gate man closed the gate. I couldn't leave. Then this counseling teacher came running towards me. You see, we are used to being asked, "How are you?" Seems normal, right? But when she asked me, "How are you, Kevin?" Man, I felt like the gentle pour of water down thirsty throats. She wanted to know how my father was doing and myself. I was not comfortable discussing my issue with anybody. When she noticed my withdrawal, she just asked me to take her hand. She lifted me and I felt like I had lost something. She led me to class and finally I sat for my midterm exams. In the exams, I felt like the letters were swimming. I wrote my name and answered one question before my thoughts took over. That was the first time I noticed something shifted inside me. I was subtle, like a thread snapping quietly. I was present, but not fully present. I could hear people, but their voice sounded distant. It was as if a thin glass wall had been placed between me and the rest of the world. In the day that followed, life did not pause to sympathize. Father returned home on hospital, weaker than before. His steps were slower, his breathing heavier. Hospital bills were luckily cleared by SHA, as father's brother was a faithful payer. He knew the father's condition and that in the end, if all went wrong, we could all go to him. Our house felt smaller, responsibilities felt larger. I woke up before sunrise to prepare food, clean, and make sure he had taken his medication before I rushed to school. At night, sleep became a stranger. I would lie down, but my mind refused to switch off. I would close my eyes and immediately begin calculating problems that had no clear solution. What if father's condition worsens? What if I fail my exams? What if I cannot pay the debt? I would wake up at 2 a.m., then 3 a.m., then 4 a.m. Each time I woke up, my chest felt tight. Even silence felt loud. My mind felt crowded, though piled on top of each other without order. Fees, medicine, exams, food, the future. All these collided in my brain. Slowly, I began withdrawing, not because I disliked people, but because interacting felt heavy. Conversation required energy I did not have. When friends laughed, I forced a smile. When teachers asked questions, I avoided eye contact. It felt safer not to be seen too closely. Words became expensive. Every sentence needed evaluation before release.
What you have just heard is not madness. It is mind under prolonged strain. Many people imagine that someone loses their mind suddenly, but in most cases, the mind does not collapse overnight. It bends fast, it stretches, it absorbs, it compensates. And only when it has absorbed too much without relief um, does it begin to fracture. The process often begins with stress overload. When a young person carries adult responsibilities, financial pressure, academic expectations, and emotional fear at the same time, the brain remains in survival mode. Stress hormone like cortisol stays elevated. The body becomes alert for danger even when there is no such immediate threat. Sleep becomes shallow, rest feels unsafe. The nervous system becomes fully powered down. It states that if that state continues, the second stage begins. Emotional withdrawal. The brain, in an attempt to protect itself from overload, it starts reducing emotional intensity. Joy becomes muted. Sleep becomes shallow. Rest feels unsafe. The nervous system never fully powers down. If that state continues, then distorted thinking can follow. When someone is exhausted and unsupported, the brain begins filling gaps with negative assumptions. Neutral looks become criticism, silence becomes rejection. Small mistakes become proof of failure. This is because the stressed brain prioritizes threat detection. It scans for danger even when in safe spaces. After that, numbness may set in. Numbness is often misunderstood. People think it means strength. In reality, it can mean depression. When someone says, I don't feel anything anymore, that is not peace, it is emotional shutdown. The system has been overloaded and reduces sensitivity to prevent total breakdown. If these stages continues without intervention, hopelessness grows. The person stops imagining a future, not because they lack dreams, but because their mental energy is consumed by surviving the present. the world begins to feel distant.
From a medical perspective, what we are observing in this story is the interaction between psychological stress and neurobiology. The brain is an organ, it responds to chronic stress the same way other organs respond to chronic strain. When someone experiences prolonged stress, financial insecurity, caregiving burden, academic pressure, trauma, stress response system remains activated. The amygdala, the brain threat detector, becomes overactive. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for reasoning and regulation, becomes less efficient. This imbalance leads to heightened anxiety, impaired concentration, and emotional dysregulation. Sleep disruption further compounds the problem. Sleep deprivation alone can cause cognitive distortion. When combined with emotional trauma, the risk increases for clinical depression or anxiety disorders. In more severe cases, if stress continues unchecked, individuals may experience dissociation, feeling detached from themselves. Treatment addresses both mind and brain. Psychotherapy works by restructuring thought patterns and providing emotional regulation strategies. It strengthens neural pathways responsible for balanced thinking. Medication, when necessary, can stabilize neurotransmitter systems such as serotonin, dopamine. These chemicals influence mood, motivation, and perception. Medication does not erase pain, but it can reduce intensity enough for therapy coping strategies to be effective. Equally important is social intervention. Financial strain, caregiving burden, and educational pressure are not purely medical issues. Sustainable healing often requires community involvement, family support, and institutional understanding. Recovery is possible because brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity allows it to rewire and adapt when provided with healthier patterns and supportive environments. And just as mind can descend in stages, it can also recover in stages. Stability, connection, restructuring, and restoration growth. No mind is beyond repair when given understanding, treatment, and time.
As this story ends, it is important to understand that it is not just one boy's experience. It reflects a wide reality across Kenya and Africa. Now, according to the World Health Organization, depression is one of the leading causes of disability worldwide, and suicide remains a major public health concern. Globally, more than 700,000 people die by suicide each year. Among young people aged 15 to 29, suicide is one of the leading causes of death. The question is no longer whether mental health matters in Kenya or Africa. The question is whether we are willing to listen before silence becomes crisis.
Kevin's case shows classic chronic stress turning into depression, overactive threat detection, emotional shutdown, distorted self-view. We assessed him, talked systems, sleeps, thoughts. Shorter medication helps stabilize serotonin levels, reducing intensity so that therapy could work. Combined with counseling, it rebuilt regulation pathways. Our referrals prevents deeper fractures.
In Kenyan high schools, small everyday actions can cut through stress before it builds to crisis. For example, sport and physical activities, which releases endorphins, lowers anxiety, clears the mind. Even a quick game during break helps you breathe easier and sleep better. Drama, music, creative clubs, and debate or public speaking, which helps in organizing thoughts, and others such as scouts, environmental clubs, community service, school health clubs, or peer support groups, and simple daily routine. These aren't luxuries, they are truths. Co-curricular aren't extra, they are essential for balance. When school encourage them, stress drops, attendance rises, and mind heal.
If you are carrying this silently, chores, sick families, fees, exams, just speak to a counselor, teacher, friend. Early help changes everything. You are not weak for bending. You are human.